Yeah, Gringo.
Hey!
Welcome to Patagonia, Ruthie.
Oh, wow. It's everything so far that I thought, but what I didn't know was how awe-inspiring it was going to be. And if it's going to get any better than it already has, I'm blown away, mate. Honestly, I'm just blown away.
So if you don't know where we are, we're Matt and Ruthie here. We're a couple of days into our March 2025 Patagonia motorcycle adventure.
Too right.
So what's been happening, Gringo?
Amigo!
Amigo! Yeah. Obviously, it's a Spanish country, so we're making an effort to learn the language.
And it really is a Spanish country, hey? It's, you know, you go places, as my son said, he said, I don't know why everyone in the world doesn't learn to speak English. Well, I do, because there's a great big chunk of the world that's Spanish, and they really don't care, do they? You know, there's quite a few people speak English, but...
Oh, I said, telling you today, I told my son, I said, there's one thing you do in the next couple of years, learn Spanish.
Learn Spanish,
It's an incredibly useful language.
Oh, I reckon.
Particularly when you're in countries like Argentina and Chile.
Yeah, too right.
So, where are we?
I don't know. we started in Calafate.
El Calafate.
El Calafate, sorry. Yeah. And this is not Condor.
El Chalaten.
El Chalaten.
Yeah, so it's famous for Mount Fitzroy, which is right behind us, but unfortunately we couldn't get a good location.
You're not going to see it. You can see it in the overview photos.
Hopefully Frankie can splice in some drone footage of court at some step.
Here's to you, Frankie. Thanks for making this possible.
Well, on that, we are drinking a Patagonian Malbec, which thought would be appropriate for the podcast, as you and I do like in moderation, a beverage
in moderation, of course, yes, you know.
And we're mixing it up with some fat V jerky from Geelong.
Which is just awesome combination.
Yeah, we've got venison, not Venetian, venison and a hot and spicy one, which we'll just be nibbling on as we go, just to soak up it's not good to drink on an empty stomach, I've been told.
Is that right?
That's what I've been told. So.
Okay. Can I just say, on the question of drinking, people who know me know I don't drink red wine. You know, I mean, I do, but I chuck ice cubes in it and all sorts of stuff. And I'm starting to think that might be because I just buy $10 bottles or something, because this is the most drinkable red wine I've ever had in my life. Now, that's not many, but it's beautiful.
Dangerously drinkable.
It's dangerously drinkable.
Yeah, it is. It really
Don't
is.
tell anyone it's breakfast.
Argentina's famous for Malbec variety of wines, grapes, because I think like 100, 150 years ago, Malbec was all over the world, you know, French, even in Australia. A virus went through and wiped out all the Malbec variety. It didn't make it to Argentina. So they've got vines that are over 100 years old that they're making wine out of. So
far out.
Yeah, so they have the best Malbecs in the world. Starting to see a few of them in Australia now because the virus is gone, but they're nowhere near as good as what we get here.
I didn't even realise. I thought Malbec was actually the brand. I didn't realise it was a type of grape.
See, we're not just a motorcycle. Nevermind, it's not just a motorcycle tour company. We're an educational
institute.
Well, mind you, I have been here for near enough 3 weeks already. So and it's not my first rodeo, is it? So.
Not exactly, mate.
So it's been a while since Sri Lanka. So it's now March 2025. That was October 2024. So we've spoken on the phone, but we haven't seen each other since. So if you watched our last podcast, it was hugely popular, the one out of Negombo.
Not surprised. I mean, not the podcast, but by the time we got to Negombo, that was exciting. That was, you know, things were really going and honestly, that Sri Lanka trip, it's the best thing I've done in that long. It's not funny. Although, 2 days into this, and I'm starting to think...
We'll report back later on.
Later on.
We'll try and do what we did in Sri Lanka, and I've got an idea for a location, stunning location, about halfway through the trip where we might be able to do this again.
Okay.
And then we'll do a post-trip review as well, same as Sri Lanka, which I think works quite well.
Are we going to drink Malbec each time?
We might be sick of it by then. You know, we'll see how we go. The beers are good here. They're big on craft beer. I'm kind of a bit off craft beer at the moment, but the local lagers are great. What's the blue and white can? I've forgotten it now.
IPA? Is that an IPA?
That'll come to me.
I'm not sure.
Quinnans or something. No, Kilmers.
Kilmers.
Queulemers. So that's my favourite one, but that's probably equivalent to a 4X, you know. My local my local guys keep giving me grief because they call it an industrial beer. So
I haven't had a bad beer here, and I've tried a few. I was in Santiago, as you know, for 5 days before I joined you.
Yep.
And just getting the lay of the land and doing a little job for some mates, and by crikey, good beer. And it seems to be that some of the best beers come from Patagonia, because that's what they kept telling me there. If they wanted to sell me on an expensive beer.
Well, you think you've got fresh glacial water, you've got all fresh ingredients, a pristine environment, there's not a huge population down here. That makes sense. It would be very clean,
really
like maybe Cascade or Bogues or something, but possibly even better. We were at the Patagonia brewery on the first night.
Yeah, that's right, Wasn't that good?
I think, it was quite good, That was my third visit. I was there for 6 nights waiting for you guys to come in.
Oh, gee, hard life, tough job. We're all feeling really sorry for you, Matt.
So, what do you think of my hat?
What's it made out of?
It's made out of a capybara.
A capybara?
Yes, it's a traditional Argentinian hat.
But what's a capybara?
I've got to be careful here because the animal rights people are not going to be... But they don't make them anymore. This is one I bought that's been sitting around for a while. It's the world's largest rodent. So it's a giant guinea pig, about the size of a pig. So they're not regularly found in Patagonia. They're more in the north of the state, in the wetlands and swamps. Google it. They're a cool animal. But they're a protected species now, which I agree with. It's good. We shouldn't be making hats out of, probably use other animals, but or, synthetic products. I'm all for that. But, there's one there. And
there's one there, mate, had your name on it, and it looks really cool.
And but they're commonly, they're traditional hat for the estancia workers, so the ranchers. The cowboy folk, the gauchos and whatnot. They have a beret type hat as well that they wear, but this is kind of the estancia owner's hat.
Oh, okay. This is the proprietor's hat. Yeah,
you drink Malbec and you sit on your deck and
okay.
Tell everyone what to do. So that's kind of what I do. So
I saw that beret-looking hat, and I kind of like that. I'm going to try and find one as a souvenir.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get one of them probably tomorrow, actually, where we're going. I'll get to that. I'll talk about where we're headed to. Expectations of Patagonia, if any. Did you have any? And have you got any sort of...
I mean, I do my homework. Even in Australia, I was known for sort of having a bit of a look at where I'm going to go.
Yep.
And, I saw photos. And I thought, okay, so it's going to be wild and woolly and lots of great open spaces and mountains, and I even saw rivers and glaciers and stuff. Nothing prepared me for the impact of that first...
Porto Marino.
Whoa. Now, this is serious. Once in Australia, up in the Kimberleys, we found a spot that we later found out was called the Passion Pool by the local Aboriginal people for good reason, and it was so beautiful but it just didn't rate to the first view of a glacier. Now, probably a lot of people have seen glaciers. I don't know, maybe I'm just the odd one out here, but I've travelled heaps of country all through the glacial back hills of Tasmania. When we say glacial, that's because there were glaciers there in the last ice age. And so the country looks a bit like this country does in that there's nothing there, there's no trees, it's just all been nailed, and when you see big rocks, they're kind of smooth because they've been rubbed along underneath the glacier. And so we see this, but then you see the glacier itself. And I don't know, how high was that wall? 30, 40
40 metres
40
high.
metres.
Yep, 40 metres high.
So that was really impressive. To know that it was still moving was even more impressive, still growing.
It's the only one, I think the only one in the world that's still growing.
And this is fair dinkum. I was riding the bike, saw the glacier up close first time, and I burst into tears. But I was laughing at the same time. Now, I don't think I've done that since my honeymoon. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it was just wild, man. It was absolutely wild. That's the first glacier I've ever seen in real life, in my life. And when I saw it riding up the hill on the bike for the first time, I cried and I laughed at the same time. Mother Nature's phenomenal. And yes, it is cold sharing the room with a big lump of ice like that. Whoa! The depth of feeling. You heard the crack?
There's a great video that Jamesy took.
Yeah.
The ice sheet breaking
whole
off.
sheet at the front.
First day's ride is out to this glacier. Copped a bit of rain and then it all just cleared up as we got here, and wow, all I can say is wow. You can actually hear the sheaths of ice break off like a big clap of thunder. It's just amazing. Down the lake. Spectacular. There we go. Look at that. Got it.
That's the one you said looked like it was vulnerable.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. And the colours.
Yeah, the ripples going so far
Slice it into the video, and you're looking at it right now. It's incredible.
Hopefully you can hear it too, because it was a very loud noise. And that's when you realise, this is Mother Nature at its wildest. This is living, breathing glacier.
Did you watch that video of Jamesy?
Yeah.
Did you listen to the commentary?
Oh, he's really
like a
good,
footy
isn't
match.
he?
He's like, oh my God, look at this. Oh yeah, and he's kicked a goal. That's incredible.
You kind of expect it from Jamesy because he used to be a big-time union player. He played all over the world professionally.
South Africa, Ireland, yep.
See, that's the kind of people you get on these trips, eh? These Nevermind trips, you get exceptional people.
Yeah,
he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, we're lucky. Yeah, well, that's just what we attract, isn't it? You put it out there, and
Yeah, well, that first trip, I couldn't believe. I'm still. We had John and Steph up just a little while ago.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no,
that's awesome.
They were up visiting their daughter who'd just graduated, and so they came over, and we had a terrific time. And you make lifelong friends doing these things. You really do.
You totally do.
It's only a couple of weeks, but it's a couple of weeks of 100% in your face sharing this magnificent adventure, this incredible experience. And okay. And it looks like this crew already, a couple of days in, I've always got this problem, because whenever there's a group of people, there's always one wanker. And I think it must be me, because I can't find anyone,
I won't comment on that.
Thank you very much. That'd be really nice if you didn't, Matt.
No. So the ride so far, we've done 2 days riding. So you flew into El Calafate. We had a bit of a dinner at... that was a nice restaurant the first night.
It was, wasn't it?
But I think the highlight was the second night. We'll come to that. And we rode out to the glacier, about 80 kilometres. What a ride that was, riding in and then just seeing that 40-metre cliff face on your left-hand side.
It was just incredible.
That's where, even I've been there, dozens of times, and it still takes my breath away, So I understand when you go, it brought a tear to my eye.
No,
there's a couple of places that do that. Sigiriya in Sri Lanka, Lion Rock.
Yes,
When I see that, when I'm riding past, Kardungla, the world's highest road in the Himalayas, I still go, wow. It just takes your breath away. It's like... some of the corners in Ireland too, some on the Wild Atlantic Way.
Okay, I've got that one to
come.
Anyway,
I won't go on. So this is why we do it. If it doesn't do that, we don't come back.
But just on expectations, right?
Yep.
I don't know why, but I've never been to South America, and I just had some idea that I don't know. I'm not going to use the word third world. That's derogatory. But I had some sort of feeling that nothing can be quite as advanced as Australia, can it? Guess what? If they weren't speaking Spanish, we could be anywhere in the world. There's a whole different Latin tone going on, but the roads are good, the power's good. Actually, I heard there was a blackout just before I got to San Diego.
Yeah, right.
But that doesn't matter. There's going to be a blackout in Brisbane soon. But even the airport at Calafate,
it's good.
A regional airport in Australia is nowhere near as good as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a tourist town, and I'm quite sure there's going to be some bodgy places somewhere else up the street, but by crikey, comfortable, well organised, everyone's speaking Spanish. You've got to be on your toes. But these days, with a translator app, you know, that kind of stuff, you can get away with anything.
Yeah, it's much easier than it used to be. You just use a chat GPT or a translator app. And, you know, it's just to speak the language. I mean, it's my gosh, I'm picking up a lot, but not as good as I can in India with Hindi and that. And but I really am inspired to learn Spanish after being here this trip. I love Argentina, love Chile. It's just it's incredible.
And we need to get into the people. I've had nothing but friendly, helpful people, even when they can't speak any English. And my Spanish is like, you know, 4 words that don't make sense to them. And that's after listening for 14 hours on the plane to how to learn Spanish. I think I picked the wrong one. But, just nice people and smiles, happy.
We did meet a few grumpy ones. Anyway.
When was that?
Have you had any good stories so far?
Good stories. Oh, no, that's a tough one.
There was a run-in with the...
Okay. You're going to mention that, are you? All right. Good.
I thought it was a good had a good end.
English.
Oh, no, it did have a good outcome.
I understand.
Parking low.
No.
Te va abajo.
No. See? No?
Te va
English.
abajo.
English.
Llamo gendarmería.
English.
Te va abajo, llamo gendarmería.
English. I'm English. No Spanish. So go and have a look around. I'll wait here with the bikes.
Te vas abajo.
Huh?
Te vas a ir abajo.
And there's a cafe over here, so meet back there at 11, so you can just jump down there and have a walk around.
Good.
I thought it was had a good end, outcome.
It did have a good outcome, and it also gave me plenty of time to work out that, you know, you can get dickheads in national parks all over the world.
That's why I wanted you to talk about it.
No offence, I mean, you know, it was an issue over where to park. As if it would make any difference. In a car park, no
With
less.
motorbikes.
With motorbikes, you know? Like, don't park there. You know, that's where the buses park or whatever. And there was nothing else there anyway. You know, a
Sí,
couple of
firmado.
cars in the...
Pero tienes que irte abajo porque estás en infracción. ¿Sí? ¿Tienes el pasaporte ahí? ¿Tienes el pasaporte?
I don't understand.
Pueden estacionar.
Okay. Okay.
Besi. Se tiene que ir abajo, señor. Se tiene que ir abajo.
Touch me?
Se tiene que ir abajo. Se tiene que ir abajo.
¿El guardaparque no hay nadie más?
A couple of cars in the corner, and the whole thing just got blown up into this big, you will do as I say, you know, and a lot of temperament, and a lot of jumping up and down.
A lot of ego going on there.
A lot of
park
ego.
rangers,
Wow. I mean, not saying anything.
Wouldn't happen down in Victoria parks. Would not happen.
Hey, mate, it has. And it's happened to me more than once, lots of times. Oh, yeah, you know them well.
No. Anyway, it was a good outcome. Like,
No, it was a great outcome.
You know, they explained to us that, and they got the Caballeros involved, or the border guard, and they got out with
guns and bulletproof vests.
You know.
Makes you feel very important.
Like, oh, far out. So we're sitting around, and I got interviewed and documents this, and they were like, it turns out what it was all about was that I was like, well, if we're parking on the spot, give us a parking ticket and we'll push on. They're not allowed to issue fines. And so no one takes them seriously unless the Border Patrol's involved. Yeah. And then they issued me with a piece of paper with, you parked there. I had to sign it saying, yes, I admit I parked in the wrong place. Yeah. I had to apologise to them. The border guard said, can you please, I said, look, I'm really sorry, and I was like, and I said, now you can go.
Yeah, I know. And can I just say that, you know, I'm running around looking at these guys close up, and all those Border Patrol guys or whatever they were, the ones with the guns and the vests, they all had that slightly bemused look on their face, like, surely I should be doing something more important than this. You know what I mean?
Oh, they didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there.
I've seen that look on Queensland coppers' faces when they're called in to back up the national parks guys in Queensland, you know, and it's just... I got into trouble once for lighting a fire on a sandy hill in a national park where you were allowed to light fires, but apparently there was a new rule. This is like 12, 15 years ago, where you had to have the fire above ground. So the guy's come along, he's, you know, blah, 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 all rabbit, and then he's gone away and got the cops because I haven't listened to him. And the reason I didn't listen to him was because everywhere I looked there was fire pits. And I said, why can't you do this? And he said, well, if you light a fire, you're destroying the seeds that are in the sand that will one day spring into life. And I said, OK, where did you learn this? It wasn't in Canberra at university, was it? Because if you look around, mate, there's nothing growing here, you know. And it was the same thing. It was a sort of I have to prove my point. I am going to prove my point. The badge says I can prove my point. And I have to get someone else in to make it serious.
Hey, I'm one of them. I've worked in that industry on and off
no.
most of my life. I know what it's like. But anyway, it was a happy ending, and not a happy ending. There wasn't a happy ending.
I wondered how you got out of that one.
It was. Anyway,
I'll just go and say sorry to the nice guy from the park service.
Let's just move on. But it was all's well ends well. Anyway, you know what I mean. So
yeah, I do know what you mean.
Don't use ATMs here.
No.
Don't use ATMs.
I've got the proof of it.
Bring dollars.
You know, it's American dollars.
Yeah.
You can do that. But I managed to, my fault, and because there was a big rainstorm, I managed to miss the change desk at the airport. So I put my card into an ATM here in Calafati.
Yes, I know this.
And it said, maximum withdrawal 15,000, which is about, I don't know, 20 Aussie dollars, if that, you know? And I thought, OK, well, you use your card everywhere. That's the other thing, you know. I just wanted a little bit of change in case.
You don't need cash.
No. And the only cash I thought, I'd like to give people tips occasionally if they've helped me out and stuff like that. And so I thought, OK, 15,000, it cost me 10,000. It cost me $10 to get $15 out, or $15 to get $20 out, whatever the correct translation on that is. But I couldn't believe it. When I looked at the piece of paper, I thought, you're joking, you know. So, banks are the same all over the world, it turns out. They're out to get you.
Well, I'm not saying anything.
No, not going to say anything.
I don't want to upset anyone.
Don't want to upset anyone.
I love all
Leave it to me, mate.
I love all
upset
my banks. ING, you're great. Thanks.
Okay.
The food, how's it been? Tell us about dinner last night. Wasn't that amazing? Miguel, our host.
Yeah. Now, OK, first of all, I haven't had a bad meal since we've been on tour. I had a couple before I came on tour, but that's because of the Nevermind difference, if you don't mind me saying so.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You and your local contacts always know where to find good tucker. No one would have found Miguel yesterday.
No.
It was his backyard. It was his.
How good is it?
Yeah, tin fence down each side. It was like a backyard anywhere, except that he had heaps of interesting stuff scattered around the place, lots of things to look at. And then they were cooking, meat on open fires and veggies, charcoaling them. They were just beautiful. And then they served as in, I don't know, just an extension of their house.
Well, it's a 120-year-old original, estancia hut.
Yeah.
That have built a house around and stuff. So
it was just amazing. But the quality of the food, and it was kind of endless too. I mean, anyone who's seen me eat knows that, it's a big bucket job, but by crikey.
Wasn't it good?
He just kept on going.
And we had a Japanese family there.
Yeah.
That was awesome. They managed to find it. And Morgan from Los Angeles, she was lovely.
Yes, that's right. And we ran into her again.
She was walking down the street before. She's here.
I think she's got the hots for Bill. That's the problem, She's got the hots for...
Bill's got the hots for her.
Oh, Bill's got the hots for her. That's what's going on, all right.
Can't blame you, she's cute.
No, she's kind of nice, isn't she?
Yeah, I think she hitched a lift with our driver, actually.
Does that explain why Bill had to jump in that cold river?
Maybe, like a cold shower.
Like the big cold spoon from hell.
Yeah, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? Okay.
He sent out a wee, WhatsApp a minute ago saying he was going for another swim, so...
But what a night. Turned into a jam session.
Yeah.
We bought a guitar, which is the Spanish guitar, which is difficult to play, but we'll get there, and you had the harp out.
Yeah.
as we get, we'll run through the itinerary shortly. I'm just sort of warming you up a bit. I'll talk a bit more about where we'll be staying. But
I need to say here, you know, it's the local knowledge thing that makes the Nevermind trip what it is, you know. It's not just riding on bikes with good blokes and having a whole lot of fun and all that kind of stuff. It's Lucia.
We'll get to that. But
Yeah.
We'll talk about those guys shortly.
Okay, but wherever we go, in the whole 2 trips I've done, you've got local...
Caballeros, they're coming for me. It's flashing lights and everything.
Oh, look at that.
We can just see the police out the window.
Oh, wow. They've been told.
Quick, hide, Ruthie.
They've been told. No, it's not me, mate. It's you. It's you.
All right. Yeah, no, it's...
They won't recognise you in the big guinea pig hat, mate. You'll be right.
I was thinking about today, like I've seen other tours here and they're groups of 20, 25 bikes on 1200 GSs.
Yeah.
And they're big highway rides and they're doing big Ks but you
good
know,
ride.
But it's very
nice
different
ride.
to what we do. Like we're
what
poking down the little back and getting into the mountains and you'll see as this ride goes on, same as Sri Lanka, we're all about, it's not about doing 1,000 Ks a day and ticking all the boxes, it's about showing you things that you would never find on your own, you know? And that's what I love doing. So
the accommodation's superb. The places we stopped to eat are superb, you know.
Yep.
Even that place we had lunch in today, you know, that was awesome.
Delicious.
How good was that? And then the morning tea break, I don't know, that was fascinating for me because it was the same thing that kicked off Australia, really, you know. Wherever there's a river, someone's got to get a boat. All of a sudden you've got people stopping, there's fresh water, and before long... Yeah, in a pub, and before long a town grows around it. Well, this time the town hadn't grown because it was so isolated. What was the name of that? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
It doesn't matter.
I'm not even sure if it has a name. It's just a...
No, it's just a pub.
Yeah, where you can get a coffee or a beer, and that's
But it's fantastic because it's old, it's full of history.
It's like a museum.
It was like a museum. And Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and I can't remember her name, but there was 3 of them, the wife of Butch, I think. They stopped there when those guys were running away from all the bank robberies they'd done up in the States.
On that, we will go to Butch Cassidy's house. It's still standing.
Is it?
It's quite far north, like probably 2,000 Ks from here. So this is how far that guy travelled. He was
a traveller.
He was committed.
But I mean, you know, and it would have been totally wild in those days too. It's wild now. As soon as you get off the highway, it's wild. But that was fascinating because, you know, I've seen that movie and I've read the book and I've really sucked up that part of the history.
Yep.
And, boy, it was just so good to be there.
What's a guanaco, John? What is a guanaco?
Oh,
You've
okay.
seen them now?
No worries. I've seen one. Okay, so a guanaco is a thing that looks like an alpaca or a llama or llama? No, I don't know. Anyway, it's got long legs and a long neck. It could be a cross between a giraffe and a pony.
Kangaroo and a camel.
Well, actually, I'm glad you mentioned kangaroo and a camel. I'm glad you mentioned that because I saw one today walk up to a fence, you know, a good, so I don't know, a 5-foot stock fence, and just walk up to it and then go boing like that. And I've only ever seen big kangaroos do that.
They're a fascinating animal too, a big part of the Patagonian history and landscape, and they've evolved with humans over the thousands of years, over tens of thousands of years. You know? Like in El Calafate, the indigenous population, it's so bitterly cold down there in winter. When the newborn babies are born, they'd shove them up the uterus of a guanaco to keep them warm through the winter. It's the only way they could survive down here at that time. Like it's a crazy place, and the similarities between Australia and here are, as you go along, you'll go, oh my God, where am I? It's like bizarro Australia. Like
bizarro.
Like even the cave paintings, they look like Aboriginal cave paintings. You see it. It's incredible, and it's the story's not dissimilar. You know, there's some archaeologists or maybe conspiracy theorists that believe that there was a connection between the Australian Aboriginals and the Indigenous of Patagonia. So but they don't know how.
They don't know how?
No, they can't work that one out.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I do remember, was it Thor Heyerdahl back in the 1970s who sailed a balsa wood raft from South America caught the wind.
I've heard of this, yeah.
And the whole idea was to prove that, because obviously they, what's it called, Easter Island, where the statues are?
Yeah.
So that's just off the, I didn't even know this until I looked at the map. That's just off the coast of
Chile.
And, you know, and they always said, well, maybe not Australia, but nearly most of the Pacific Islands could have been populated by people, native people from South America. That was Thor Heidedell's theory 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember going to see his raft and thinking, you know what, you stack enough balsa wood together, you can go anywhere.
We have this big brass giant kettle the size of this room in Geelong, in the local gardens. And apparently a bunch of hairy Peruvians sailed from South America to Geelong and they got shipwrecked there and they lived there happily ever after.
Is that right?
It's called the popping kettle. So
the
Geelong,
popping kettle?
And we used to, when I was a kid, we used to have a party and a festival every year for it.
The popping
kettle. If you're from Geelong, you know what I'm talking about. It's very weird, I know. I don't understand. I'm pretty sure it's not true. But when you're 8 years old, you believe that shit, you know.
Has it got a Ford badge on it too?
Maybe, yeah. It looks like something from under the bonnet of a Ford, but no, I love Ford. All Ford Day when I get back, I'm looking forward to that. 100 years of Ford.
Yeah. Do you know what those big black birds we saw were today?
Condors.
They were condors.
They were condors. That's why I was spinning out. I nearly got a tear in my eye. I've never seen that. We were at that lookout looking at Mount Fitzroy, and half a dozen massive condors just glided over the top of us.
And they were huge and they were black.
Beautiful animal.
Weren't they beautiful?
Yep.
Powerful too. I felt the flap of the wings. I don't know if I did actually, but it felt like it.
And they followed us all the way in.
Yeah.
As we come into town here, I was like looking up and they were just right behind us. I'm like, this is an omen. It's going to be a good trip.
It's going to be a good trip. It was great.
Do you know what Patagonia means?
No.
The word Patagonia?
No, I don't.
No, me either. No, I do.
Oh, go on. You can't ask that question if you don't know the answer.
It's land of the hairy giants that ride mammoths. So
I found home. I'm in.
So
all I need is a mammoth.
So
is that right?
When Magdalene sailed here from Spain and he landed here, there's still some of these giants left on the east coast, of Argentina. Not many, the indigenous people, but they were much bigger than the Europeans at the time. They were big people.
Okay.
And they used to live off the Guanacos, and I think because they had abundant supply of meat, and they sort of genetically were big. You know, and they used to ride around on woolly mammoths.
Strength.
That was the theory.
That was the theory.
But so...
that'll do, mate. That'll do me. I like
so
that.
that's what Patagonia means. So where you're walking around your black puffy fleece, it's got Patagonia written on it. It's big hairy giant that rides a woolly mammoth.
Okay, I'm going home to get a woolly mammoth motorcycle because that's just awesome.
So far we spoke about El Calafate.
Yep.
We've been to the brewery. We went to Miguel's house. We went to Puerto Marino, the glacier. You cried.
Yeah. Okay. Enough of the crying, but
The big honk blocked my toilet because I'm sharing a room with him. And then I went downstairs and that was blocked as well. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry, Matt, I blocked that as well."
Oh, you're kidding.
I've booked my own room here. So sorry, honk, but just dropping you in it there. We're at El Chaltern, Mount Fitzroy. So that's where we are tonight. We're going to go and see a Beatles cover band tonight. A bunch of locals have formed a local a Beatles cover band at a bar and cafe down the road. So we'll have dinner there and we'll check that out.
Night number 3.
3.
That's all, you know. And already it's just opened my eyes up to a whole new world. I reckon by tomorrow morning, you know, I'll wake up, I'll be singing a Beatles song and we're in trouble. And I've learned how to speak Spanish too. Nevermind.
Bring your harmonica. You might be able to get up and
tonight,
jam with them.
Okay. Yeah, I might.
You never know. So tomorrow we head to a very strangely named place called Gobernador Gregores.
Gobernador Gregores. That sounds very Spanish.
So we're heading north about 280 kilometres. It's going to be windy, cold, but it's beautiful. The scenery is incredible. We stopped for a picnic lunch. I won't tell you what we've got planned, but it's always very special. Traditional It's the thing to do is have lunch on the road when you're Argentinian. So we stop and sometimes we'll cook, sometimes we'll have something special. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Wow.
But Governor Glaciers, the town, it's not a tourist town. You barely see another tourist there. But it's a farming, it's a regional rural centre, so you know where you come to get your tractor serviced and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And on the way down, when I had the group from Manchester in the UK, those animals, Roger and Robin, thank you guys. It was fantastic, great bunch of guys.
You reduced him. You just about smashed him.
I had to have a couple of days drying out after those guys. It was incredible. But we went to a local restaurant. There'd been a wedding there.
Yeah.
During the day, and we sat down. There's a few stragglers left. You know, we're there about 7:30. Just a few stragglers left from the wedding. You know, singing karaoke and dancing, all dressed up, and you know, farmers from the region. And they loved when we rocked in. They're like, "Woo! Get the party started, right?" So, and then next minute we know one of the guys has run outside and come back with a guanaco for dinner. Patagonia. Yeah, guanaco. Bloody guanaco here. Native to Patagonia. Just let it go in the restaurant. It's running around. We're all getting pictures with it, patting it. It turns out I got chatting to him, you know, through our broken Spanish and English, and he's a local guanaco farmer.
Well, there you
and
go.
he started showing me photos on his phone. It's such a big farm, I think thousands of acres.
Yeah.
And they just let them, you know, out here it's a bit like Australia.
It's like,
huge farms, and they round them up on, you know, CRF 450s and stuff, and it's that was an experience. We were having dinner and there's basically a camel walking around the restaurant, and all the locals are laughing at us and clapping and getting photos with us and selfies. It was great.
Oh boy!
They could, that's
you know you're in another country.
You know you're on a Nevermind trip when stuff like that happens. Even I go,
okay.
I'm on this only happens on Nevermind trips. So we'll go there tomorrow night. I don't know if we'll have a guanaco in a restaurant, but we'll see. From there we head into, actually not into Chile, just to near the Chile border, a place called Lago Posadas. Beautiful ride in it. There's these two giant lakes. You know the colours of the lakes.
I think, I wish Karen was here to correct me, but I think the word is azure.
Yeah,
for the colour.
Right.
It's like a sapphire blue that it's just different. I've never seen anything like it. It's not like our blue lakes in Australia, which are, you know, magnificent, but this is, it must be a glacial deal or something.
Particularly down here, it's even more, it stands out more, but it's when the glacier will melt that they pick up, you know, certain, you know, calcium chemicals, not chemicals, minerals out of the rocks as they grind them.
Wow.
And it turns it into this like azure. Turquoise.
It's a whole different coloration of the world, if that makes sense, because, you know, in Australia we get sort of a saltbush colour and then it goes to green as a rule. But here you've got something that's kind of in between, because there's a bit of green speckling in the brown, and you've got these huge skies. Think sort of out western New South Wales near the border size skies, Nullarbor, that kind of stuff. Massive skies, blue, 2 or 3 different banks of white clouds coming through if you're lucky. And then you've got the colour of the lakes, which is like, I don't know, a Celtic eye blue, if that makes sense or something.
It works.
Just glorious.
Works for me.
It's just glorious.
It's like the Nullarbor with snow-capped mountains and just stunning lakes.
It is.
And guanacos.
And guanacos. It's going to have a Beck guanaco to be anyone, really.
So Lago Posadas, we stay on a estancia, a ranch there that's got some log cabins on the lakes. We've got a sauna there, so that's incredible. It's a special treat. So we have 2 nights there, so we're going to chill there and have a good look around. There's a few off-road tracks that I've found, I've sniffed out. So
Okay.
for those that want to get a bit
We can go and have a look.
rough and ready.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll be in that,
yeah, it's
for
good.
sure.
Yeah, there's a bit of a hill climb there. That's one I haven't done yet. I'm pretty keen to. So we'll
Okay.
get the drone up and maybe get some footage for you guys. So
Hmm.
it's very remote. Like there's not a like even the meals there. You eat what they've got, and it's what they do with it is incredible. Like like at breakfast, I'm like, can I get some eggs? They go, no, we haven't seen eggs in weeks. Because the nearest town's 80 kilometres away, and they haven't got eggs, and that's only got one shop. So the remoteness is amazing.
Yeah. Anyone used to travel in the outback Australia will get an idea of what this is like, but it's different again. Everything about it is just slightly different. It's like they've just turned the buttons the other way a couple of times or something.
I reckon it feels a bit like Australia in the 80s or 70s. Like I don't remember the 70s, but
Hey, I do.
80s, yeah, you've got a few years on me, but
Yeah, no,
to me it feels like like we're getting a lift around in the back of the Hilux, you know, home from the pub, and the cops just wave to you, like that sort of thing.
That was an experience in its own right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it was great.
You had a few of these, maybe a few memory erasers.
Well, possibly. I mean, I don't want to say anything really. I try to keep it down to a nice cup of green tea and a cucumber sandwich most nights.
Yeah, he's pretty well behaved. He's a good influence on me.
We're in trouble. I tell you what, this is how it starts. It's going to get worse.
From Lago Posada, so we're well rested. We've got not actually a long ride. The first half of this trip's pretty cruisy. We go to Chile Chico, which is a cool town just over the border in Chile. So we do the border crossing. So make sure you follow my instructions. We always have problems with people getting into trouble with the border guards and whatnot. They're carrying bananas into Chile. It's like crossing a state border, They go through your bags and stuff, so people don't declare their things, So, but they're great. They know us pretty well there. But about 80 k's past that is going to be the best 3 or 4 hours ride you've ever had in your life. Like, this lake it's the largest lake in Chile. It's the largest lake in Chile. And this road, just dirt road, follows it up through the cliffs, and it's on one side you've just got this drop into this beautiful pristine lake, and cliffs on the other side. You're going to cry again, guaranteed.
Okay.
And where we stay there is where I want to do the next podcast. So I won't ruin it, but it's magical. It's one of the most incredible places I have ever stayed.
I think I've probably said this before. I've probably said it half a dozen times, but when you have that contrast. If you love bikes and you love travel and you like machinery, so you're spending a fair bit of the day on a bike, tooling around, having a great time, in a totally different environment with all these interesting places, things, whatever. I haven't had a boring moment, Like if I'm riding out to Dubbo or something down the Newell Highway, my brain will flick back through everything I've ever done. Do you know what I mean?
What about when Bill talks about Bitcoin?
Yeah, there was that slight. There was that. Hang on, what are you talking about?
I'm joking, Bill.
Yeah, but then how about Shauno, the big honk?
The big honk. The
he joined in too. Yeah, well, he didn't block you.
Let's call him Blocker from now on.
Blocker. He looks like a blocker too. I'll tell you what. But he made a couple of $100 just like that on Bitcoin. That's what he told us.
Yeah, I don't know.
Everyone who's got Bitcoin reckons they're making a fortune out of it, eh?
I don't know. I'm sitting on the fence.
All right.
From there, we go to another amazing day of ride. So we stay on the same lake. Because the lake's so big, we follow the shoreline. It's like the Great Ocean Road, but on a lake.
On a lake.
With snow-capped mountains on the other side. To Puerto Tranquilo. So it's a little town. It's just starting to be discovered. I actually went to a bar there last time, and I met a guy from Geelong. He's in his 30s, and he heard my voice, and he goes, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Australia." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm from Australia as well." He goes, "Whereabouts in Australia, mate?" And I go, "Geelong." And he goes, "I'm from Geelong." What school did you go to? And he goes, "Yeah, I went to that school."
Oh, no.
But he's younger than me. But
I don't know what this says about Geelong if everyone's leaving it.
Oh,
but anyway.
yeah, well, Argentina's looking good, put it that way.
Argentina looks good any day, honestly. I could live here.
You could live here.
I love it.
Very easily.
I love it.
it's a beautiful place and the people are amazing. So from there we go to Coyhaique, which is quite a bigger town, still in Chile.
Yeah.
It's sort of a base for trekkers and, you know, people, you know, camping and stuff like that. It's got a bit of and a lot of farms around there as well. So you get a mix of like Chilean tourists, Argentinian tourists, a few foreigners. There's also some local farmers and whatnot.
Okay, excellent.
I had a great night there. I had dinner. There's a few craft breweries. Had dinner at one of those, and then we went over. I sort of started doing some homework. I'm sick of drinking in these sort of places. I want to go and have a beer where the locals have a beer. You know, like, you know, the old school pub. And I found one. Oh yeah, it was. I'll take you there. You'll love it. Turns out there was a couple of farmers there, like, you know, farm workers. You know, and I was drinking more, and it sort of became a bit of like I got in a shout with them and in this bar, and there's no one else in there other than a few other bikies, local bikies.
Local bikies.
I don't know if they were bikies, but they look like bikies.
Yeah.
And anyway, one of these guys, he's got a hat like mine on, but he was only 3 foot tall.
Okay.
So I'll show you the photo.
Yeah.
And the other guy was a local Indigenous guy, and they were out together. I think one of the guys, he was the small guy was the manager, and the Indigenous guy was the labourer, and they drinking together. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Couldn't understand a thing they said. I ended up leaving with no shirt on because the Indigenous guy goes, "I like your shirt," and I go, "Do you want it?" And he goes, "Yeah." So I just took it off and gave it to him, and walked home with no shirt on.
It's that kind of place. It really is.
We'll know that one. But anyway, from Coyhaique, La Junta, which is a real Wild West town, still in Chile. In the mountains, tiny, you know, something like 4 streets. Great, you know, great place. It's a great place to stop over before we head back into Argentina to Escal, which is, again, a bit like Coyhaique. It's a bigger place, but it's back in Argentina, so it becomes a bit more European.
Okay.
You know, there's some differences between Chile and Argentina. They both speak Spanish, similar, but I don't know. I feel coming back in Argentina feels like coming home more to me. You know?
Okay.
Going into Chile feels like going on more, you know, into a different world, like when you go to India or something. Not that it's definitely not like that.
There is definitely something.
It's just a bit more exotic.
Just from the paperwork point of view, like, you need a visa to get into Chile.
Yep.
Australians need a visa to get into Chile, but you don't need one to get into Argentina.
The British don't need a visa. The Americans don't need a visa. Only the Aussies. So
that's because somebody played up severely there at some stage. Why do I just happen to know that might be the case?
Too many Pisco Sours one night.
Pisco Sours.
And, the Caballeros got me.
Yeah.
2 actually quite attractive female ones handcuffed me and had to lock me up.
Yeah, this is not a fantasy, by the way, although it could lead into one. We'll just see how we go with it.
No, well, that may or may not be the reason for the visa, but it did happen. But it was a long time ago. I was young and stupid.
My first experience of South America was this trip, but I had a job on with Terrain Tamers, I might have mentioned it. So I was there in Chile for 5 days in Santiago, which is the capital, and look, they were fantastic because I came in at a local level, you know.
Yeah.
I had a job, so I get picked up by the local guys and sort of shown around and all the rest of it. And by the way, if you're into your 4-wheel driving, and I know a lot of our mob are, they are really big on it over there in Santiago. You know,
Argentina as well.
Yeah. And I sort of, my only experience of South America before that was Buenos Aires, which I didn't really like. But of course, I didn't have anyone to show me where to go or have a look or anything else. And so in my mind, I had it sort of the other way around. I'm going, oh yeah, I really like these Chileans, but don't know about the Argentinians. And then the last 3 days has just turned that right upside down. And I reckon when you've got, I hate to say this, when you've got someone like you, who's, I nearly said like a double adapter, but I don't really mean that, but you know what I mean. A guy who can plug into the local environment and then become your conduit to understand it, you know, and to meet it. Like going to see Miguel's place last night and then walking home from Miguel's, quite merry, you know, a little bit on the merry side.
That was a good bar as well.
And we dropped into a local bar, which was...
The foosball they were playing,
the foosball, the foosball bar.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's amazing, isn't it? Because by that time of the night, I didn't understand a word anyone was saying, but I understood everything that was going on.
Yeah.
How do you work that out, eh? Yeah.
You just nod your head and say, si.
Si,
senor. Sin, señorita.
Amigo.
So from there, we'll go to Lago Rivadavia, which is another surprise, right? This place is, it's like the Swiss Alps. It's unbelievable. It's forested and green. It's not like down here. It's very different. That's where we'll go to Butch Cassidy's house. It's around there, and you'll be able to, it's not a tourist attraction or anything. It's actually just a timber hut in the bush.
Yeah.
And it's still there, and it hasn't been destroyed. There's no one looking after it. It's just on a farm, and the farmer lets you go through the gate, and it's incredible. Like it's.
Have you? Okay, you rang a bell there. Have you ever seen the Kelly's original house out near Beveridge? So initially the family moved out, and like Ned would have been only young, and he was the eldest. And it's the same kind of deal, you know. It's just a little bit of a slab hut with some rocks and whatnot. They've actually put a fence around it now, and for a while it was for sale. I mean, 20 years ago I stumbled across it by accident because there is a sign, if you're looking on the Hume Highway, that says Kelly House. And you think, nah, you know, like if it was, you'd know about it, right? At Glenrowan or one of these important places, you know. Nothing like that. So this is the same sort of deal, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And no one there. Like I've been there quite a few times.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that rock up, ride the bikes through, and get a few photos, walk around.
Yeah,
It's
fantastic.
great. So looking forward to that. But yeah, Lago Rivadavia, you're gonna like that. That's like it's a not famous, but it's a popular fishing spot. So there's a few.
Come back for the next podcast.
Yeah.
Because you know what's happening here, don't you? You know, I've just had, and you can probably tell, I am lit up. I am buzzing. I've had 3 of the most exceptional days and nights of adventure I've ever had in my life. And I did a lot of backpacking as a young bloke, and I've seen a fair bit. And now Matt's just going, no, that's just part of the course, mate.
Started yet.
Haven't even.
What do you reckon, mate?
Oh, mate, this is amazing.
Check it out.
Just amazing.
I'm sure you won't be able to see it on video, but Mount Fitzroy in the background. The big honk. There you go, and there, Ruthie. How's the wind?
Oh, who cares?
It just gets better and better and better. Yeah. Now, this is what happened in Sri Lanka too. And you're right, there wasn't a boring moment, but come back. We'll see.
So,
because to be any better than what's happened already is just going to be amazing.
That's not the end of the trip. We've still got one more day's riding. We go to Villa La Angostura past Bariloche, which is famous for Hitler. That's where all the Nazis went to after World War II. So there's rumours that Hitler lived a quite happy existence there for many, many years after the war.
And these are the local rumours.
Yep.
You know, so there's a chance. Who knows? I mean...
Hey, why don't you two blokes come in? I'm about to wind it up.
Yeah.
Adrian Slater, one of my most incredible customers. Bill Savage, customer, helps me out, just been around for a long time.
That's what I mean.
How's the trip been so far?
It's been amazing. Yeah.
Just I'll move up.
I've done. This is my 4th trip with Nevermind.
Yeah.
And this is the pinnacle. It's amazing. Yeah.
And this is 3 days in.
And you did talk it up. And I didn't know what to expect, but it's probably exceeded those expectations.
Already.
You and Dan said you were like kind of on the fence about it.
But I'm just so because it's only 4 months since I was on the last trip.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe I won't go, but I'm so glad that we made that right decision.
And what about you, Bill? How many trips have you done?
I went 3 or 4.
Himalayas.
At least recently,
You've done Tassie with us when we used to do Tassie.
Now, this isn't a setup.
Sri Lanka.
So you've done 4 as well.
Yeah.
This isn't a setup. It's just the guys were, just wandered through and sat down. And what have we got here? We got repeat customers. And I think you've heard me say this in reference to a whole lot of different things in the past. If you get repeat customers, you're doing something right.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's
For me, it's not about. It's about the journey, and it's about the location, but for me it's more about an internal thing as to learning and developing and pushing myself and testing myself, and that's what I get from these trips.
Yes.
It's mind changing, it's life changing, it changes your perspective. So when I go back home, I'll be a little bit better person.
Well, you got a pretty intense job too, haven't you? Really,
yeah,
I mean,
pretty full on. But, but just any of these things that you can take into your life, and then and translate them back into your working life or your family life.
And your network grows, you meet cool people, and everyone. We all help each other out down the track after the trip. You know, like when I come to Perth, you help me out so much, like lending me car and.
You got some cool cars.
Yeah. So I'm eternally thankful to Matt and his crew.
No, I'm thankful to you
for giving
and
me these opportunities over the last 9 years.
They always say that travel is the greatest learning tool, don't they?
Perpetual traveller.
You are, yeah. You listen to Bill's stories.
So much because I just live traveling around the world, you know, but there isn't anywhere else that I can go or an experience that I can have that is anything like a Nevermind experience with the people and everything else.
Yeah, you're talking about. Look, even wearing Nevermind shirts. This isn't a setup, by the way. This is just what we tend to do because
these guys bought these.
we just want to be like a club or an association or something, and we kind of you wind up like that.
I prefer cult. And I want you all to call me. I want you all to refer to me as the leader from now on.
Okay, there's no happy.
And you're not allowed to.
Drinking the Kool-Aid, right?
So thanks everyone for listening. You know, thanks John. I love having you here. Thanks Slater, Adrian, that is. So. Thanks, mate, Bill, so much. You're always there to help out, so I appreciate that. If you're interested in Patagonia, bookings for January 2026 are open, so just jump on the website. I think there's a couple of spots left still, www.nevermindadventuretours.com.au, and we'll see you in 3 or 4 days' time.
Okay, too good.
Cut.